Tonight on CFTK-TV News, Smithers Police had an eventful traffic stop recently. The Northwest BC Cricket Association had another big win recently too, and a certain overdose prevention site is stirring up controversy.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Good evening, I'm Cale Maslin, and here's what's making the news in the Northwest and beyond for today. We start off with a rather alarming incident from earlier today that took place in the downtown part of Terrace, where some heavily armed police officers showed up at a laneway just behind St. Matthew's Anglican Church on Lizelle Avenue. The officers' arrival not only included multiple standard police vehicles, but even a giant SWAT one as well. And as a result of the police presence, traffic in the area was held up for a while. The police ended up raiding one of the houses located in the laneway, as they reportedly forced the front door open and also allegedly used items like flashbangs and more during the operation. It's been said that the officers arrested multiple people at the scene before then putting them in the nearby police cars. Later in the day, a house in that same area somehow caught on fire, although it's not clear if the fire stemmed from the house that was raided. Right at the end of February, the Terrace RCMP got word of an assault reportedly taking place nearby a school. The school in question was Ecole Mountain View School, and the assault was said to have happened to a child near a wooded area close to school grounds during noon break. But in an update that was just put out by the RCMP, their investigation into these claims resulted in them obtaining evidence that is not a reflection of what was originally reported to them. As a result, the police have since concluded that there is no public safety concern in relation to the claims that seem to be the end of any further RCMP comments on this case. The Smithers RCMP have recently publicized a case where they managed to make a seizure of illegal items during a traffic stop. This incident happened back on February 25th and was conducted by a BC Highway Patrol officer in Smithers, who stopped a pickup truck for speeding and vehicle defects at around just after 6 o'clock in the evening. The officer ended up finding items like 40 grams of drugs suspected to be fentanyl and cocaine, thousands of dollars in Canadian currency, as well as a rifle and ammunition. Both the driver along with the truck's passengers were arrested for possession for the purpose of trafficking, although charges haven't been formally approved yet. While the Smithers police are not going to release further details about the detainees, they are asking anyone who has more information on this case to call them at 250-847-3233. Word has come out to reveal that the Northwest BC Cricket Association has officially managed to gain membership for Cricket BC. This is another big win for them, as last year the association was also able to secure plans to build a cricket pitch on part of the Thornhill Community Grounds. The pitch's construction is expected to cost around $20,000, but should be covered by this Kinametstakeen Regional District, who is responsible for those grounds and will use a Northern Development Initiative grant they got to pay for the project. And with this brand new membership, the association should be allowed more opportunities for participation in tournaments, player training, coaching, as well as even umpire training. There have also been reports of the association trying to create a team in Smithers to go along with their 4 other teams in Terrace, Thornhill, Prince Rupert, and Kitimat, respectively. Coming up next, 2 police officers are continuously being asked to apologize for a 2019 incident. Welcome back. A controversial overdose prevention site could leave taxpayers on the hook. Vancouver Coastal Health is now responding to a proposed class action lawsuit about the Yaletown site. The suit alleges the health authority played a role in the facility becoming a place for crime and public disorder. CTV's Isabella Zavarisi reports.
The Thomas Donaghy overdose prevention site at Helmkin and Seymour is at the center of a legal battle. Vancouver Coastal Health says there's a need for the site as it provides a life-saving service during a public health crisis. It's responding to a proposed class action filed last year by developer Bruno Wall and 1111 Seymour Residences Limited against the city, VCH, and Rain City Housing, which operates the OPS. One of the plaintiffs, Michael Wilson, says those suing live and do business in the area where the OPS is located.
Crime, human feces, just disorder, yelling, people, in distress.
VCH says it's worked to keep the area clean by conducting regular sweeps in the neighborhood. According to the lawsuit, the plaintiffs' use and quiet enjoyment of their homes and properties has been unreasonable and substantially interfered with by the defendants' ham-fisted operation. VCH denies this and adds it's not responsible for this block of Seymour Street, quote, becoming a center point for crime and public disorder. It says it doesn't have the means or legal authority to control the off-site behavior of any member of the public, including clients who may use the OPS or park nearby.
We've said all along, not against harm reduction, not against safe supply, but it needs to be done in a way where the entire neighborhood can feel safe.
The plaintiffs are seeking general and special damages, which taxpayers could be on the hook for. The city has not renewed the lease for the OPS, which is up at the end of the month. But Wilson says he has no plans to drop the lawsuit.
We're doing this on principle. It's not about the money.
VCH hasn't announced where the new overdose prevention site will be located, but it's likely it will stay somewhere in the downtown core, as data shows this area has the second highest number of overdose deaths in the health region. Isabella Zavarisi, CTV News, Vancouver.
The BC Human Rights Commissioner says that 2 Vancouver police officers should apologize in person to a Heiltsuk First Nation man and his granddaughter. The 2 were wrongfully handcuffed on a busy sidewalk in December 2019 after trying to open a bank account. In the commissioner's report, she's recommending the officers involved take part in a traditional Heiltsuk Nation apology ceremony, something that they've so far refused to do. CTV's Shannon Patterson has more.
It's been more than 4 years since Max Johnson and his 12-year-old granddaughter were handcuffed outside a downtown BMO branch by Vancouver police after an employee wrongly assumed the ID the Heiltsuk Nation members used to try to open a bank account was fraudulent.
This is something that's been, hanging over Max and his granddaughter. It's, it was difficult when, we had the apology ceremony and the officers didn't show up.
There were 2 empty chairs at that October 2022 apology ceremony in Bella Bella because Constables Cannon Wong and Mitchell Tong, the officers sanctioned under the Police Act for handcuffing Johnson and his granddaughter, did not attend. On Wednesday, the Human Rights Commissioner issued an interim report on the incident that says in order to move forward, those officers need to apologize to the pair in person.
We're glad that the Human Rights Commissioner recognized the need for, the apology ceremony to happen. For us, and it's something that Max has shared many times, but the apology ceremony is a way that we make things right under our Heiltsuk law and culture.
After resigning in January, the former vice chair of the Vancouver Police Board told CTV News the 2 officers had been advised to stay away from the last apology ceremony because media would be there.
Will they go up now? I don't know. That's up to them. If they in any way experience what we experienced, I would say that's a tough situation to send them into.
In a statement, the current vice chair didn't address the Human Rights Commissioner's recommendation that the 2 officers attend an apology ceremony, writing instead, "Our board is deeply committed to working together with the Johnson family, Heiltsuk Tribal Council, and Union of BC Indian Chiefs to review existing policies and develop new policies and training to address systemic discrimination and anti-Indigenous racism."
What does systemic reform look like when we can't get together for an apology ceremony? Because there is no Indigenous remedy, there's no Heiltsuk remedy, if they don't come out.
Her message to the 2 officers who have so far stayed away?
The door is always open.
Shannon Patterson, CTV News, Vancouver.
There's growing pushback to the NDP government's new short-term rental rules. People living in a popular resort community went all the way to Victoria to express their concerns, saying that the crackdown unfairly affects them. CTV's Rob Buffum has the story.
They came from across BC to its capital to voice their frustration with the government's short-term rental laws.
We're absolutely devastated by this legislation.
Some of the 10,000 people who've signed a petition asking the government to change its recent rules to exempt properties purpose-built and licensed as short-term rentals.
We are hopeful that sanity will prevail, quite honestly.
The official opposition, BC United, tabled a private members' bill today aiming to get the government to make that change.
We need to have an exemption that is rational so it's not going to devastate individuals, families, and devastate communities.
The new laws passed in November come into effect May 1st. They banned short-term rental outside of primary residences in many BC communities, except where there's been a vacancy rate of 3% or more 2 years running. The NDP have consistently resisted efforts to modify these new rules.
We need those housing units desperately in our communities throughout the province.
West Kelowna, where there's been a vacancy rate higher than 3%, has voted to opt out of the new laws. Others, including Parksville, Vernon, and Prince George, wish they could.
It's too blunt of an instrument is what it is, and it's impacting everyday people, everyday hardworking people.
The issue is especially significant in tourist-based communities like Parksville. Its mayor says the economy will take a major hit, losing purpose-built short-term rentals.
They represent 44% of our tourist accommodation in Parksville.
Many of those at the legislature today say if the government doesn't tweak the new rules, they'll change how they vote in October. And it won't be for the NDP.
It's alarming that these sort of basic property rates can be kind of compromised. So if you're, I didn't a year ago think that I'd be sitting here in front of you folks having this discussion.
But a lot can happen in a year in BC politics.
Robert Buffum, CTV News, Victoria.
Turning to tonight's weather, the north coast is said to be getting rain along with a low of 5 degrees. The Terrace-Kitimat area still has a winter storm warning in place and is forecast to see heavy snow at times, with the low at only -1 degree. And the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District is likely to deal with a chance of flurries and a low down at -8 degrees. On the north coast, their week will consist of basically just snow and rain, while the high jumps from 6 to 5 degrees. In the Terrace-Kitimat area, the week for them will also be made up of essentially just rain and snow, plus flurries, while the high shifts between 2 and 5 degrees. And in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, the upcoming week will also see rain and flurries and clouds, but potentially a small bit of sun too, with the high bouncing from 2 to 6 degrees. Checking out the highways now, visit Drive BC for the latest and up-to-date conditions, and as always, drive safe out there. On Highway 16, there are slippery sections, utility work, bridge maintenance, pavement patching, and a new traffic signal being installed, plus the Usk Ferry is out of service and the cable car is in effect. Highway 118 has some slippery sections too. Highway 37 has more slippery sections too, and a vehicle incident. Highway 37A has slippery sections, some more slippery sections, and limited visibility on the Nishka Highway. And the Telegraph Creek Road has slippery sections of its own. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, a diner's decision to allow dancing is costing them quite a bit. Welcome back. Vancouver area mountains are once again open after a recent dumping of snow that has rejuvenated the local industry. CTV's Craig Krause has more on the impact this is having on potential water restrictions this summer.
Snow has returned to the North Shore Mountains.
It's like we won the lottery.
She's not alone. Flocks of alpine enthusiasts are cashing in after months of uncertainty.
I've been waiting all season for it.
I'm really happy to get out there.
A recent system covering the peaks of Metro Vancouver with fresh powder, with Mount Seymour leading the way.
We're open. You can see what's happened. We've had about 170 centimeters of snow in a week.
Forcing the mountain to play catch up after months of bare runs and trails leading to closures and cancellations.
All our runs are open, all our chairs are running. It's like, wow, thank God.
The recent flurries are not only a welcome sign for those running and enjoying the slopes.
About a month ago, we were at about a 32% of our regular normal historic snowpack. But this last little bit of snow over the last week or so has bumped us up to about 50%.
Additional water that helps fuel reservoirs across Metro Vancouver, a crucial stash as temperatures begin to warm and the threat of droughts in the region could be on the horizon.
We just have started our refill operations for the summer. So normally we wouldn't start that until a few weeks down the road. So we're just going to start that a little bit earlier this year so we can make sure we capture any of that snow as it's melting.
For now, skiers and snowboarders across the lower mainland are looking to take advantage of the recent snowfall as the spring inches closer, and Seymour says they're expecting another meter over the next week. Craig Crow, CTV News, North Vancouver.
Allowing diners to dance has landed the owners of a Vancouver restaurant in hot water. They've been fined $10,000 for violating the terms of their license. And as CTV's Ben Milger reports, the province's liquor laws are being called into question.
Tucked away on Commercial Drive, Lula's Taverna, a little Greek oasis in the heart of East Van.
We take pride in kind of the vibe that we set, especially when it gets dark. We are open late on weekends, and yeah, it's a Greek island vibe.
That includes the Greek tradition of smashing plates and sometimes people dancing, which is part of the reason liquor inspectors hit the restaurant with a $10,000 fine. Lula's has a food primary license, which does not allow for dancing.
They just need to relax it a little bit and allow people to, drop their guard, have fun, be safe while doing it. Very important as well. But, the city needs a bit more culture.
Why is Lula's being fined $10,000?
BC United leader Kevin Falcon visited Lula's last week and says enforcing no dancing rules is ridiculous.
Let's just lighten up a little bit and allow our small businesses, especially the restaurant sector that's struggling to survive, to have a chance at surviving.
Let's not get footloose here.
Public Safety Minister Mike Farnworth also expressed disappointment at the fine and suggested his government will look at softening the rules about what activities can happen in restaurants.
But it is something that we are looking at, because if someone wants to dance, hey, they should dance.
With the government and the official opposition seemingly on the same page on this issue, the owners of Lula's expect them to follow through on their promises.
It's not the inspector's fault. I think that they have a job to do, and they do it well. And I just think that the laws that they're enforcing are a little bit archaic, and they just need to be revisited.
In the meantime, it's not clear what will happen the next time someone in a restaurant gets happy feet. Ben Milger, CTV News, Vancouver.
It was so-called Super Tuesday in the United States this week, a decisive day in the race for the White House. Millions of U.S. voters headed to the polls in 15 states and one territory to cast their ballot for who they want to be president. With hundreds of delegates up for grabs, it was an important day for President Joe Biden and Republican contenders Nikki Haley and Donald Trump. Joy Malbon reports from Washington.
Donald Trump is having a very good week. The Supreme Court sided with him that states can't kick him off the ballot. Even as he faces 91 criminal charges, Trump is barreling towards the Republican nomination. But clearly annoyed, his rival Nikki Haley still won't drop out.
Haley, she's not a problem. I think she's very negative for the party, but she's not a problem in terms of winning, because we're winning by a lot.
Haley rallied voters in Texas last night, telling them Trump is a drag on the party and can't win in November.
At some point, maybe we should say the reason that America keeps losing is because of Donald Trump.
But she doesn't have the numbers to beat him. Hoping to show momentum tonight, the odds are stacked against her.
I was actually a registered Democrat, and I switched it to that I could go either way just so I could vote for Nikki.
President Joe Biden has won nearly almost all the delegates so far, but a protest vote in Michigan last week over his handling of Israel's war with Hamas is concerning.
We need the ceasefire. The hostage deal is in the hands of Hamas right now.
His strategy now, defend his policies, get out the vote, and go after Trump, setting up a likely rematch between Biden and Trump, even as polls show most voters just aren't that into them.
I think it's disappointing. It's sort of a repeat of 2020. I would love to have had some different candidates. I had hoped that Trump would go away.
As for Nikki Haley, she says she will stay in the race until after the results tonight. Over the weekend, she would not commit to endorsing Trump, even if he sweeps all of tonight's contests. Joy Malbon, CTV News, Washington.
And now we turn our attention to the stock markets. The Canadian dollar is up 0.3 of a cent, the price of gold is up $7, oil is down 20 cents, natural gas is down 11 cents, aluminum is up $6.50, in Toronto the TSX is up 200.60 points, Venture Index is up 0.62, in New York the Dow Jones is up 130.30, and Nasdaq is up 241.84. Still ahead is a report on the Canucks and the NHL trade deadline. Welcome back. Hockey fans are waiting with nervous anticipation as the clock ticks towards the NHL trade deadline. The Canucks find themselves in an unfamiliar territory this season, looking to upgrade the team in advance of what they hope will be a deep playoff run. CTV's Ben Milger has more in this week's Ringside Report.
J.T. Miller down to Besser. Miller scores!
Fresh off a 2-1 overtime win against LA, and with the trade deadline looming at the end of the week, for the first time in years, the Canucks are buyers rather than sellers.
Ilya Mikheyev's gone 32 games without a goal, and Pia Suter's gone 16, and those two are occupying 2 of their top 6 forward spots. So I think it's evidently clear that there is room in the top 6 for another proven scoring winger.
The Canucks made an early splash in the trade market, acquiring center Elias Lindholm from the Calgary Flames for Andrei Kuzmenko and a package of prospects and draft picks, leaving the team without a selection in the first round of this year's entry draft. It's a valuable commodity management may wish they still had as they look to add more offense. Since joining the team, Lindholm has underwhelmed, adding just 6 points over 15 games.
The fact that Lindholm hasn't been the fit that they had hoped, perhaps it's as simple as them admitting that and trying to right a wrong with another move here. So it's going to be fascinating to see if Elias Lindholm makes it through the deadline as a member of the Vancouver Canucks.
Makes a move, stepping around Vetrano, centers, they score!
The current road trip began with a hard-fought 2-1 Canucks win in Anaheim, with Niels Höglander and Connor Garland providing the scoring.
Cuts towards the goal, Pettersson in front, scores!
Elias Pettersson opened the scoring for the Canucks in LA, making it 1-1, but it was goalie Thatcher Demko who kept the team in the game with this brilliant stop that had Alex Turcotte looking to the heavens.
Unreal save. I mean, that's a 10-beller. I mean, that's a highlight one. That'll be on tonight and probably all month. That's big time save for us at the crucial time.
If the team is to make a run this spring, they'll need plenty more saves like this. Ben Milger, CTV News, Vancouver.
The British Columbia Lottery Corporation warned of a series of scams circulating online imitating BC casinos. The bulletin says the scams involve fraudulent posts and advertisements on social media platforms, which deceive people into entering their financial details on illegitimate websites. The BCLC is working to remove the posts described as highly deceptive, exploiting the logos, names, and exterior images of casinos in the province to offer players exclusive bonuses and promotions if they register online. The corporation says its real websites would never ask for a social insurance number, banking information, or credit card details, and another red flag could be the prompt to pay fees or taxes on a purported prize. That's all of our news for now. From everyone at CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin, and thanks for watching.